Okay. Hello everybody, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming. It's amazing that you're here. Have you had a good weekend so far? Amazing, great. Just a few preliminaries, and you've walked into a gallery which is about 10 months old. It is absolutely full of content. Excuse me, I'm going to cough, sorry Joe. He's actually got my earpiece, so every time I make a noise he hears it really intensely. So the gallery is available to you today, but please be careful. Please don't kick it with your feet or touch any pieces, but please look around and feel your eyes with the content, because it's a beautiful space, I'm sure you'll agree. So just a few preliminaries also. The toilets are around the back. If you need the toilet, Rookie here, who is an MA student of the Royal Academy of Arts, no less. So she will take care of you. She's helping me today. Thank you so much, Rookie. And there is fire exit. There's one downstairs that you don't want to go that way. You want to go that way. We are locking you in because we don't want people wandering in while you're participating today. So if you do need to go out, just scream really loudly and then we'll let you out. We will have a 15-minute break. Okay, so my name is Debbie Baxter and I am a fine artist. I have some artworks here, just over there. You can have a look at those later. You have just walked into a $50 billion industry. Can you believe it? The fine art world is huge. 20% of the market is owned by the UK. So the thing about the art world is that it's kind of everywhere. We use it all over the place, but it's getting more and more intense at the moment because we are actually moving more towards AI, which is the artificial intelligence, and it's phenomenally big. And if you know anything about NFTs, anybody know about NFTs? Okay, do you know Beeple? You know Beeple. So the thing is we can't categorize how much that digital art industry is worth because it's a different banking system. But Beeple has just sold a digital artwork which has never been materialized for £70 million. So you're kind of in the arena of an industry which is taking off. A lot of the artworks that you see are very much to do with digital art. So you can have a look at some of the work behind you. That's photography. A lot of this artwork can be turned into digital art. Okay, so being a fine artist, I don't know what you think of a fine artist in terms of an industry. Well, how would you define a fine artist in terms of a business world? When you think of an artist, what comes to mind?
Creation.
Yeah. Yeah. What about making money?
Yes.
Yeah. Just a gallery?
I think manufacturing, because you're creating a product that people buy.
Yeah.
So even simplifying it down that
Yeah.
way, even a musician is creating something.
Yeah.
It's just, it's consumed differently.
Yeah.
It's almost like a food for a musician because you consume it as it's produced, where, a painter is
Yeah.
something more like a car, creating something, and I'm not trying to make a car, but anyway.
So, I'm sort of wondering how you perceive an artist as making money, how you perceive them as making a business. What comes to mind? You are business people. You have to put into action what you sell. So how do you do that? And do you think it's different for an artist?
Market it, someone like David first, great marketing if his approach needs money.
Yeah. It's an interesting phenomena, isn't it? The art world. So, I have to probably do and then a bit more because I've got to create the pieces that I sell. So I have to do the marketing, I have to do the networking, I have to do the proactive collaborations and all sorts of everything that you do, and then I have to create the artwork as well. So it is a very, the art world is very, very proactive. Okay, so it's really interesting that you spoke about Damien Hirst, because if I asked you, could you name a piece by Picasso? Could you? Well, that's very good. Anybody else name a piece by Picasso? All right, stop showing off.
Sorry.
So the thing is you don't necessarily remember the name of his work, but you know him, right? So it's about the person. That's what you work with, and that's what we're going to work with today, with you, so that you can understand how important you are in this whole arena of business. So Damien Hirst, Tracy Emmett, they're all people that are household names, but you can't necessarily name a piece of artwork that they've done unless you're you, who knows everything. It's like Michelangelo. You recognize his work, but it's about him. And that's what we really want to work on today. It's about him. So let's talk about networking. Who here is like a 10 out of 10 for networking? Huh? What's that?
Quite a high bar.
Yeah. So, who feels slightly intimidated about networking? Yeah. Okay. So, if I were to ask you to make a score, 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest ability to get into a room and network the pants off it and feel really confident, what would you give yourself? What score would you give yourself?
7 for me.
God, you're good. Yeah.
I think it depends on the room.
Depends on the room, right? Yeah, 7. So you guys are really good. 8 or 9. God, you're really good. Yeah. You don't. If you 10 would look like you're being arrogant. Yeah. But you don't want to do that. So who here finds it difficult, networking?
So I think there's difference though, because you asked us what is your score for networking in a room?
Yeah.
So much of networking is not in a room anymore.
Yeah. Okay, online. So it's like making that first call, right? It's like picking up the telephone and talking to somebody. It's like, I don't know this person. I don't know how I'm going to be received. How am I going to feel about contacting them? How are they going to respond? So what's that energy that comes to you? How do you feel when that happens? What score would you give yourself when you go, okay, I'll make the call today, or maybe I'll make it next week? Yeah.
I kind of look at it as I have nothing to lose with those people.
Sorry.
I don't feel like I have anything to lose if I don't know people.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, but what's your energy around networking? Does it feel like I've got to get it done, or does it feel like a joy for you?
Depends on the people.
Yeah.
If it's like a really interesting artistic group, then I get
Yeah.
excited. I want to talk to them.
Yeah. And if it isn't?
I get bored.
You get bored. Yeah. What about if you were to walk into a room full of strangers and you knew that you wanted to walk away with at least 2 contacts that you could contact later, and you didn't know them, how would it feel? You wouldn't like it, is there?
I'm motivating myself because I know what I want to achieve.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to gain from that relationship. So that would motivation will have me go forward and speak to that person.
Yeah, because you want to, right? You're pushing yourself. Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. So if I said to you, today, by the way, I'll set you up so you know what you're going to do. By the end of the day, you will have created a masterpiece. And I don't know if you know about Damien Hirst. Damien Hirst doesn't really do any artwork. He just gives it to his minions that do it all for him. And then he gets paid lots of money. So you're going to produce this, and I'm going to sell that in the window for about £5,000. Thank you very much. So, because I'm a bit busy at the moment, I just like. So you're going to have a masterpiece at the end of the day, and we're going to paint this together. And in the process, I'm going to try and get you to understand this kind of energetic sense of networking. So, and we will have a 15-minute break. Please remind me, because we could get carried away, and I don't know if you know this. If you are creative, being creative can really swallow up your time, and then you forget, and hopefully it'll be an enjoyable process. So, if I said to you, if you were to kind of look at things a bit more black and white, and I said to you there are two types of state, and one is contracted and one is dilated, would you agree? Everybody takes a nice deep breath. That's really dilated. So, how does that feel? So, do you know what it feels like to be contracted? Give me a few words. Anxious. Yeah. Tense. Oh, sorry, that should be red. Forget that. I'm doing it in red because red is like,
Yeah.
it's stress, right? So there's a tension. What else? You said stress. Anything else? Fear. Pain.
Being in control as well. Like if someone's controlling you.
Give me a better word. Where have you been this weekend? So if I said to you, you might walk into a room and there's a whole crowd of people that seem to know each other, but you don't know them, does that feel a bit controlling? Does that feel like, oh, I've got to kind of match my energy to them so that I can connect with them? There's kind of controlling in that, or a sense of, oh, having to perform.
I think you could also see it as a challenge. It could be a positive thing.
Could be. Yeah, so I'm not saying either is negative or positive, just I want you to understand the energy of it. So give me some more words.
I think small. When I
Small.
I like, you kind of
Not-
put yourself in.
Yeah, contracted.
Defend the core.
Yeah, defensive. I hope you can all read my writing, it's atrocious. I paint better than I write, promise you. Anything else?
Tension was mentioned.
Yeah, tension. So contracted, that state of, sometimes contraction can cause you to do something. So it could cause you to do fight or flight. What else could it cause you to do? Start shouting at people? Freeze, that's great, yeah. Anything else?
I think it makes me angry.
Makes you angry. Because it's like taking you out of yourself, right? When you're contracted, you're pushing so much out. You're more concerned about the outside world than you are about the inside world. Does that make sense? So we all kind of are familiar with that state, right? We know it. Okay, so what's the opposite of contraction is dilation. So give me some words about dilation.
Free.
Yeah. Freedom, expansion, energy,
I think creativity.
relaxed. When you say creativity, see, it's a very personal thing, because creativity for you could cause you to relax and get into your zone. It's worth putting zone. Elevated, yeah. Oh, love it. Yeah. Growth. Where's the growth coming from? Why is there growth?
You're expanding, you're opening yourself up to new things.
Yeah, yeah. So you're open-minded.
I was thinking about laziness actually.
Right, so it's really, I'll come to that. Yeah, that's really, it's so interesting. So, yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, it's a very personal thing because some people are naturally empathetic and some people are not. Anything else? Joy. Okay. All right. Anything else? Discovery. So it's like a, I like that word. If you walked into a room with the red, how do you think you'll get on in terms of your networking? Why? People will avoid you. I'm not talking to her.
You lack compassion to do it.
Yeah, why?
Because you're not in your comfort zone.
Because you're in tension. And why is tension not good?
It makes you take the wrong steps. It pushes you in the wrong direction.
Yeah, we fear, haven't we? Go on.
I think you begin to embody all of those feelings, and then people pick up on it. So
Yeah,
it's approachable.
yeah. So you're like a beacon.
It's contagious.
Being fearful.
No, it's like if you have someone tense, then it's kind of transmitting tension.
Yeah, and some people are like, oh, I don't want that energy. I'm walking away.
You get tense
Yeah, yeah.
Can you still be I think you can still be creative with all this red.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get to that. Yeah, no, it's really important. Yeah.
Find a way out, think better when it comes to that.
Yeah, you got to get your like thesis in by the end of, and like you're pushing. Yeah. Okay, so if you walk in the room with the green, what's your success rate going to be like? You're going to actually perhaps even enjoy the process of networking. So it's very interesting. So you've got contraction and dilation on both sides. If you get too dilated, you get too relaxed, get too blasé, you almost look like you don't care. You're like, don't talk to me, I don't need you. It's too relaxed. And if you're too contracted, you can't think straight. You can't put what you've come here to do into action. It's too much, it's too tight. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle, right? You want contraction in order to get yourself up and moving, and you want dilation in order to get you into your sense of self, your own energy, your own power, your own dynamic. Because behind what you do is a passion. There's something that you want to give to the world, and you want to put it out there in a way that people get it. And if you put it out there in a way of tension, sometimes it gets misunderstood. So today, we're going to work on trying to get you into that zone or that feeling part of dilation and understanding in that process the idea of networking and how we can kind of physically get the feeling of it from the inside out. So we're going to do a exercise, and I'm going to ask you, isn't it so nice to get a pencil? I always wish when I go to a workshop that somebody would give me a beautifully sharpened pencil.
You put in work here.
It was so, like it's properly done.
It is very satisfying.
It is, like to hold a pencil with a rubber.
No, this was sharpened.
No, by hand,
not
by
with
Rookie. Yeah. So the first exercise we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to come up here, and you can just draw it out of a word, but I want you all to just draw a tree. Even if you don't know how to draw, I know it doesn't matter. A tree. Yeah, so just draw a tree, you know, you can put the roots in or not, you can make it small, make it big, whatever you want, but just do your personal tree. You've got all that space to do it on paper. Let's go for it. So, how was that for you? When I first asked you to draw the tree, what's your feeling? What was your feeling? You like it?
Terror.
Terror. Why was the terror there? You can't draw. What was your feeling?
The words that were beside what I was drawing.
The words.
Yeah, they were kind of beside of what I was.
Where was your here?
No, the other one.
That one.
No, that's
Oh, so you had that around you. Great drawings, by the way. And you did bamboo, didn't you? I like that. That was amazing. And you did a coconut tree. Amazing. Okay, so what was the feeling when you started to draw?
Kind of relief.
Oh,
Drawing.
Creativity, thinking about how you're going to do it.
thinking about how you're going to do it. What was the feeling in terms of this dilation contraction? How did that feel?
Relax, because I love drawing trees.
It's easy.
Mine's the most simple tree, but it's a tree.
Okay, so
It's a tree. It's a pine tree.
how was it in terms of like when you're drawing this, when we're talking about networking is like an expansive thing, right? You've got to kind of put yourself out there and showcase your work and showcase who you are, and you're given a tiny point pencil. How does that feel when do you feel like it's really helping with your networking?
Not when you're that close to the wall, because you're not interacting with the person next to you, although my tree overlapped with his tree, so
I
we
did
had
see
to
that.
communicate.
Yeah. So as a child, and what I'm trying to do is get you to energetically feel this. So as a child, your first tool is a pencil. And by the very nature of it, you've got this tiny weeny point which makes you go like this. So all your focus is going inward. Can you see that? So if I said to you, all your focus is going inward, what is the feeling you get from doing that?
Contraction.
Yeah, so it's like a contracted state of a singular tiny point, and then if I give you a big fat brush like this, could you? You couldn't, could you? You'd have to be more expansive, right? So like this is an exercise of contraction because you're one-handed, quite small, trying to get it right. Did any point in that exercise feel like, I want to make it right? No, you're just too cool for words.
No. It's just, I know I don't draw.
Yeah.
For me, that's a tree. Like
Yeah.
to me, there's a tree. There can be many of them. And
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get you to the understanding is this tiny point. So it's the I. It's the I in the networking. So you walk into a room, I have to perform, I have to create a situation where people are going to listen to me, I have to perform, I have to push myself out there, I have to create an outcome. Does that make sense? So this is the I. And we're going to move to a brush. And what I want to do is create the we. Does that make sense? Okay, wonderful. So the next exercise is you're going to paint. And you have on the back of your chair an apron. And you're going to need it because we will get a little bit messy. Yes, like nursery, yeah. So, can I have 5 volunteers, please? So just come to the front. Everybody else can sit down. So I just need 5 people at the front. That's great, thank you.
5 people at the front to volunteer.
You all want to pick. You all get a turn, don't worry. Okay, so the 5 people who are going to do this, could you please get yourself a large, wide paintbrush?
Where do we get those?
Oh, they're all on the tables here. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, or maybe go for that one.
Wide. Are these wide?
Yeah,
Well, that's too wide. Is this all right?
yeah, perfect. Yeah.
There's 3 of them.
I mean, there's so many people here, and you spend time talking.
And yeah, and that is that one person left.
What's that?
Is this where we paint each other's faces?
Oh, come on.
Because I want to partner with them.
All right, so those people who've got a paintbrush, just wet it in a water jug for the moment, so it's nice and ready to go. Okay, so let's start here. So the first person, you need a thicker brush. You can get one there, so come along. So what I want you to do is do a line as far as you can, connecting. I don't want any white between the blue and this colour. So just about that thick, all the way along. So you can get going, and then you can follow after her. So you take your, yeah.
So am I just going as long as I can make it
Yeah,
last?
that's right, and then you follow on. Go for it. You're nervous, like, come on, go for it.
Okay, right away. Can I just dip and go?
Yeah,
Can I turn the paintbrush round?
yes, yeah. Let's just have a look. Everybody come back into the room. Just take a seat.
The things we do for the daughters.
Take a seat. Okay, so how are we doing?
Great.
Awesome.
What do you think about your masterpiece? It looks great. It does look great, right? And you did that together. So how does that feel? Like the difference between using that and this?
Much better.
Much better. Why? Why is it better?
It's more impactful.
Right. Such a beautiful word, impactful.
Well, I also think when you're drawing with a single pen, if you make a pencil, you
Yeah.
make a mistake,
Right.
it stands out. Here, a mistake adds, there isn't really a mistake.
So-
because it blends in
Right.
with everything else.
So are there loads of mistakes in here?
Yeah.
Does it matter?
No.
When you walk into a room full of people and you make a mistake, does it matter? Well, it kind of does, because you're all... Wait a minute! No, but I led you there on purpose. Like, it does in your head, right? Yeah. In your head, it's like, I've got to make it really work. I've got to. Like, I is the pencil. Paintbrush is the we. So I'm going to ask you, when you did this, were you kind of networking together? You just did it naturally, right? It just happened naturally because you were given the tools to create something different, right? Would you say that this is dilation or contraction? But why?
Because you're expressing freedom, and you're just naturally speaking with other people as you're doing this, right?
Right, because,
Creating a connection with people based on something that you're doing together,
yeah,
which is kind of out of the box, right? It's not
Yeah.
really typical.
no. So you're walking into a room with lots of people and you're kind of jostling in and out of them and you're working with them and you're talking to them and there's a sense of relaxation. When you're with a single point, you're just focused on the tiny, right? Contraction, dilation. Do you want a break?
No.
Oh.
Don't listen to me.
Who wants a 15-minute break? You do? Okay. So let's have a 15-minute break and then let's start again. And there's just a little bit more to do. And I just want to bring you back into this feeling. Okay. So have a, if you want to go out, just ask Rukia, she'll let you out if you want to go and get something. Okay, guys, so thank you so much. Wow, what do you think? Now you've had a chance to sort of stand back and have a look. What do you think about it? Da-da!
I think part of the value of this is I know the people who did it.
Right,
So I think there's a personal connection to it, and so it speaks to me in, I think, a different way than if you brought in somebody off the street and said, take a look.
So if I'd asked you to do that in front of everybody else,
Oh God, I couldn't do that.
you couldn't have done it, right? But you did it like effortlessly with each other. I really want you to get how naturally that happened and how that is your networking strategy from the inside out. Does that make sense? So rather than the I, the pencil, the contracted state, I must perform, I must tell everybody what I do, I must get this right, we now go to a bigger brush and go we. Does that make sense? So if you think about networking and then you think about your value, what value do you bring into this room as a bigger picture? And I'm going to put the idea in your head about the forest. So I don't know what you've read about the forest, but the forest is the perfect understanding of networking. So you've got leaves, you've got trees, you've got mycorrhiza, which is the organisms in the soil which support and help grow and feed things. You've got mushroom, fungus. You've got so many aspects of a forest that are so essential to each other and are basically, it's the most successful thing is a forest in terms of networking. If some tree gets sick, everything in the forest supports it to get better. If it can't get better, it knows how to work around it. So trees are really, really important. Now, if you take a mushroom or if you take fungus out of a forest is never successful because a fungus is so useful for breaking down dead matter and turning it into food, and it's also so vital for all the filaments of supporting the carbohydrate breakdown from the trees and feeding sugar back into the trees and giving sustenance to the trees itself. So if you can, in a more dilated state, see yourself as a forest rather than that singular I when you walk into a room full of people, then you get a better understanding about how networking works. Now, I'm going to give this to you in a sense of realness. So if you just put your feet on the ground and just relax yourself, relax your belly, feel your seat on the ground, and if you just look ahead and just soften your vision, and then if you can see to the left of you, but without moving your eyes, and you can see to the right of you, and the top and the bottom. Don't move your head or your eyes, but can you sense you've got a large peripheral vision? Can you see that? So that's your natural human state. And that's what's made you the perfect mechanism or a perfect specimen of networking, because you're not like this. If you put your hands like this and you look through your eyeglass or your hands, you get a sense of contraction and everything gets small. So your natural disposition as a human being is to have a peripheral view. Now, we've been fooled into thinking that everything is a photograph, but it's inaccurate because you see wider than a photograph. Does that make sense? So it makes you so effective at being a networker because you can relax knowing that there's someone there, someone there, someone there, someone there, and you're not having to pinpoint and focus on the eye. Does that make sense? So we're talking about a bigger picture and about your part in it. So if you took a mushroom out of the forest wouldn't be successful because they'll have nothing to break down what you need to break down to make that forest work. So I'm going to ask you, if you took yourself out of the equation in terms of what you do, and you didn't express to other people what you did, who would miss out? All of us. Can you see how valuable you are to your world? It's not just your business. It's what you offer as a human being. And if you took that away, if you took yourself out of the equation, or you went, I'll make that call tomorrow, or I won't talk to people about what I do, or I just tell them a little bit, and if you put yourself down, who's going to suffer? So really take that on about how valuable you are. There are so many trees in this forest, but all of them are important. And what I want to encourage you is, yes, direction, working together, opening your mind, feeling it in your body, how to connect with people, getting that flow, but also how valuable you are to this world. It's not just the industry that you're in. If you weren't doing it, who would suffer? Okay, so just a few things to remember when you're networking. Dilation, how to get yourself into a dilated state. So if I asked you, how would you get yourself into a dilated state? What would you say? I come here and paint a big painting. What puts you into a dilated state? You're going to be sarcastic, aren't you?
Gin.
The gym?
Gin.
Oh, gin, right, yeah.
Alcohol does.
Yeah, but does it make you functional or dysfunctional? And early on functional, but like, would you be doing a service to others if you came in drunk, right? No. Yeah.
Comfort, actually, if you're comfortable.
Comfortable. Yeah, but comfortable could be like, you know.
Just at ease.
At ease. So what makes you at ease?
Familiarity.
Having a feeling of curiosity.
Right. Oh, that's great. So what you're saying is expansion. So can you see we're walking more into dilation? So what makes you at ease? What makes you feel at ease?
Just, breathing slowly, just not worrying about my environment. Just
Lovely.
Honesty.
Honesty. Being honest. Who's the most you could be honest with?
Family. Yourself.
Yourself. Yeah. So, like, that's the truth about networking, is feeling honest with yourself as a dilated state, right? You go there and you might have imposter syndrome and say, like, I do this, that, and the other, but I know I'm rubbish. Like, it's the conversation you have with yourself. So it's the dilated state. Like, you could say, I know I'm rubbish, but I'm going to tell you what I do anyway because you look like you've got a nice face. So it's about being honest to yourself and moving in that arena. Okay, great. So, dilated, being in service. So it's a really good way to skip from the I, single point focus. Think about what you're offering somebody, how they can't do without it, because if you weren't in this forest, who would miss out? That's the service. And I suppose also one of the most important aspects of this is learning about yourself. So even though it's business and it's an industrial thing and you've got to make it work, there's still that part of you where you're participating. And that's really vital for everybody else, is how you are or how you show up. And that is called awareness, or human awareness. And the sunlight plays such a massive part in the forest. But it's also about human awareness. So that human awareness comes from inside of yourself, and that light shines everywhere. And that's the most vital part that you offer anything and anybody in this world, is your human awareness and understanding about who you are and what you bring. So, any questions? Who wants to take some of this home with them? Well, I'm going to cut it up. Oh, you got it too? Yeah. So we're going to cut it up into pieces. And does anybody else want to do any more to it?
Everyone's signature.
Oh, that's such a beautiful idea. Right, let's do that. So grab yourself a pen. You could do it with a paintbrush. With a fine paintbrush, and just put your name. But the thing is when I take it off the wall, I'm going to cut it into sections. So, yeah. Any questions? You've all gone peaceful.